So hi everyone, welcome to our month's webinar. Today we'll be talking about how you can create profits in challenging times. This month we paired up with Culture Curators co-founders Jill and Derek. They have over 40 years of combined business leadership experience and founded Culture Curators to bring their leadership and expertise to salon owners, to help them increase their profits and reduce their spending. Jill has been in the beauty industry for over 30 years as a stylist, platform artist, and salon and spa owner. Her salon was the first in North America to become 100% board certified hair colorist. She sold her salon 3.5 years ago for a large profit and is a business leadership development trainer, as well as a certified John Maxwell business coach, consultant, and keynote speaker. She is a published author and the recipient of numerous leadership awards. Welcome to Jill today.
Thank you.
Our other speaker today is Derek. He's a passionate speaker, motivated salon owner, platform artist, and business coach, a skill set that makes Derek an in-demand mentor and coach across the nation. Derek inspires salon owners to take their business and passion to new heights. And as a salon owner himself, Derek's business has soared year after year. Welcome to Derek.
Thank you.
I'll pass this off to Jill and Derek now, but remember that we'll have a question and answer period at the end if you have any questions for them. Jill and Derek, take it on.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, and welcome everybody. We really want to thank you for taking out your time today on a Monday, which is more than likely your day off, or maybe you're in between clients. I'm a real-time hairdresser and salon owner as well, so I'm behind the chair 3 days per week, and I'm at my salon 4 days typically per week, one of the days training my team. And as Sabrina mentioned, I am an owner, and as I said, I own a salon here actually in New York, so I'm in Nyack, New York. I'm about 30 minutes north of Midtown Manhattan. And we are so excited to be sharing with you today's topic, which obviously right now we are in times that we have never been in before, and they're challenging to say the least, right? This back to school rush was kind of not so back to school. My stepdaughter is upstairs right now in her bedroom in class. So times are strange, right? But just because they're challenging doesn't mean that there is an incredible opportunity to create profit. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before I pass it over to Jill, what I want to say to you guys is what Jill and I really specialize in is helping salon owners grow their bottom line and create the culture that they desire, which is why our company is called Culture Curators. We help people curate the culture that they want, and we help them create freedom in their lives to get away from the frustration that a lot of times comes along with owning a small business and a salon. So what we're sharing with you today is what we call our group coaching coalition. So what our group coaching coalition is about is it's about a group of owners that get together to learn a set amount of modules that Jill and I have designed over the course of 3 months. We have 6 calls in each module, or we have 1 call each module, 6 calls in the 3 months. And this is a slice of one of them, and we've designed it specifically for you guys who are VIP users today. So we're really excited to get started and get rolling. Before we do that, though, I want to give it to Jill so she can say a little bit about herself.
Thank you, Derek. And I'm really happy to be here and excited to pour into you to share just a little bit about what it is that you can do now to change the course of your future. And so without further ado, I think that we should get started. So, you know, I love one word in particular on the screen, and it's called profit. So as I think about it, and as a business owner myself, it's like, why did you open up the doors of your business? What made you open up the doors of your business? And I sure hope that the majority of you say to be profitable, right? You want to be profitable. But I love this little cartoon. It says, "Hey, Zach, haven't seen you since college. How's the career?" And Zach says, "Started a company, a nonprofit." Well, let me rephrase that. My company is unprofitable. How many of you guys can relate to that little cartoon? Because you know what, it may be a cartoon, but in real life, you know, the reason we get into business is actually to make a profit. Yes, I used to think that profit was kind of a word that I didn't want to say around my team, and I wanted to kind of keep it hush hush to myself. But at the end of the day, you know, when we sleep with the keys of our business in our pajama pocket, and we have to sweat when we look at the bottom line or look at our bank statement, we didn't get in it to not make a profit. And so I want you guys to start to think about your profit, and not only think about making a profit, but actually how much profit do you want to make? and start focusing on that. And today we're going to take a little bit of a dive. We're going to kind of just scratch the surface about some different components in making more profit. So as we look at this, we're going to talk about increasing our service sales. We're also going to take a look at increasing retail sales. And then finally, we're going to end up looking at ways to decrease expenditures. Now, some of you may be looking at the screen and going, well, duh, of course, that's what we have to do is increase service sales and retail sales and decrease expenditures. But we're going to scratch that surface, take a little dive below, just a little dive below, and we're going to share with you a lot of different things. So I hope you have your pen and your pad ready to take some really great notes, because I really believe that what we're going to share with you can positively impact your bottom line when you put it all to action. There's a key word, right? Putting it to action, and when you do it consistently. So the first area that we're really going to focus on is different ways to increase service sales. So Derek, I'm going to throw it back to you. Take it away.
Okay, so really excited to share the first thing with you guys. And, the reality is we have to think about how often our clients are coming in on a regular basis. When you seriously focus on your pre-booking percentage, now there is a big difference between your pre-book percentage and your client retention. They're two important statistics, but it's also important to understand that they are different. And for us, we really focus on pre-booking, and we really make sure that our clients have an appointment set for the next time before they leave the salon. When you do that, you increase your bottom line pretty dramatically. So for instance, let's say you have a client that comes in every 8 weeks. Can we get that client to come in every 7 or 6? If you have your 5-weekers or even your once a year clients, it's unrealistic to turn maybe a once a year client into an every 6-week client right away, but can we have them come twice a year or 3 times a year? And when you think about doing that with a large percentage of your entire clientele, you seriously increase your bottom line. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is focusing on higher tickets, and we call that add-ons. So for instance, in my salon right now, we've been running a promotion, and we're also running a contest with the team. So we're incentivizing the team to do a particular back bar service that just takes 5 minutes. It's a $40 ticket. And we want to see how many we can do in a period of time. And we actually have in Slack, we made a channel for it, and they're constantly adding in how many they've done per day. We teamed up stylists, and we've made it a fun competition, and it's going really well because of that. We just did payroll, and we saw one of the stylists added over $300 in 2 weeks to her bottom line. That's a great way to add income to your stylist, and then as well, your bottom line also. Also, referrals. Think about how important it is, referrals. How many of us say that we have a referral program, which most of us probably do, but it's almost like a referral program that's tucked away in our drawer somewhere in the back office that's not really used. So if you think about something that is specific, something that is a bit outside of the box, and something that generates results, we help teach how to track those kind of results and how to make sure that those results can become repeated, because what is measured can grow. What's not, it just ends up kind of being a bit loose, or you kind of wing it. How many of you guys at times have felt like you're winging your business? I know that I did for a long time. And there's a big difference when you design what you want to create and you follow a plan. And then, as Jill mentioned, you take serious action to make sure that you're going to see the results. And this example is a really great example of adding new services to your menu. And also, as you saw 2 slides ago, an example of add-ons. So I want you to think about this. We actually showed this to our own stylists when we ran this promo so that they could really see tangible evidence of what could happen if they chose action. And that's what we want you guys to do after this call. We want you to leave this call feeling like you're ready to take a step of action in your business. And when you look at this, something as simple as 2 clients per day with 10 clients a week. Let's say you're doing that 5 days a week, right? That's 10 clients per week. That's 40 clients per month. That's $1,200 in income per month. If you multiply that by an entire year, you've added over $14,000 to the bottom line. So think about running a promotion where I said to the team, your goal should be just 1 client per day, 1 to 2. If you hit 3, that's even better, but have a minimum of 1 per day. And that's about what's been happening for many of the stylists. And look what happens if you do 4 or 6 or 8, you can add over $50,000 to your bottom line. So for those of you that are maybe like, well, I'm a small salon, it doesn't matter. Per person, you can add 50K to the bottom line if you seriously focus on this. And for me, this really excited me, this chart here. That's what gets me going, when I can really see what the goal is ahead of me. And the same thing with stylists as well. Now, speaking of what I just mentioned, when you create a team-like environment, and we're going to go through a lot of info today, so I hope that your pens are moving really quickly right now, because we're going to give you a lot of actionable steps. But when you seriously create a collaborative environment, when your culture is based in teamwork, you can create team incentives that get people excited and that motivate them. It's very hard to motivate someone that's unmotivated. So we help teach how to hire motivated people and then create a culture of inspiration to inspire them and to keep that kind of motivation or that fire in their belly burning. So when you create team incentives, when you do something fun, like we did last year, this is obviously way pre-COVID, we're a Goldwell salon, and Goldwell has a huge event that they call Global Zoom, and they have it in a different country in the world every year. Last year, they had it in Vienna. And we ran a promotion based on average service ticket and certain things that were kind of metrics, that those 2 people that reached those metrics would win an all expense paid trip to come with my wife and I to Vienna to be at the Global Zoom games, to actually witness it. And 2 people won, 2 top stylists. And it was, think about how that incentivizes. Think about how exciting that was. And it kept it as a part of it. We ran this promotion for about 12 weeks. And think about how amazing it was to be able to take your team. And to be honest with you, it was at absolutely no cost to my salon, because of the relationship that we built with Goldwell and because of some of the things that we utilize that we're going to get to in a moment. So I'm spending a little bit of time in this area because this is so huge. This is not something to kind of glance over. This is something to plan and really have as a component of what you do. Now, we know that the new way of advertising, gone are the days of advertising in a newspaper, right? We don't even have magazines at our salons right now because you can't touch anything in this world, right? So people come in with their phones, and that's how usually they are consuming all types of media. So is your salon modern day? Are you using modern day advertising? Do you have easy and simple ways for your clients and your team to access the salon, to either access training, to access their schedule, to book appointments, to purchase product? All of these things are a part of being a modern day business. And if you feel like you're running your business mom and pop, you are. That's just the reality. And it's not to say that I want a mom and pop feel. You know, I want my clients to know that we're a small business and we take care of them and that they take care of us by patronizing our business. But I also want them to know that we are a bona fide corporation and company that runs our business like a very, very strong brand. No different than the stronger brands that are household names. And when you display that, you build an incredible credibility with not just your clients, but with your current team as well as potential team members. This now becomes a magnet for people to also come work for your salon or work for your spa. It's a really huge thing. Next thing, build and leverage a social media presence. How many of us always say, well, I'm just not social media savvy. I just don't do that. That's okay. You don't have to be, but your brand does have to be if you're looking to have a modern day brand and grow your profit. If you don't have an online presence on some, if not all of these, now all of these might not be your target audience. They might not be your target demographic. That's for you to decide what makes sense for you. For my salon, we highly focus on Facebook and Instagram because that's where our target market is. We're constantly running our Instagram stories and Facebook stories. We're constantly posting every single day. We have someone in the salon that helps run and manage our social media, and her and I connect on that on a regular basis. We make sure that this is at the top of our priority list. And again, what you focus on will grow. What you measure will grow. And speaking of running a modern day business, how many times have you recently, think about this, gone to a computer to go to a website? When's the last time that you did that? Most people are accessing it right from what you see, not just the desktop, but from an iPad or an Android, or mainly their phones. That's the reality, right? So Are you dressing up your website? Is it impressive? Do people comment about your website when they see it? We have clients that come in all the time and say, wow, I love your website. It's so impressive. They literally will say that. If you're not getting those kind of responses, it's time to maybe do a makeover on your website. Think about, every time that we do any kind of a change, I make sure that I'm accessing my website first from a phone, second from a tablet, third from a computer, to make sure that it's formatted correctly, that it's easy to read, that it's accessible, that there's a book now option on every single tab as they scroll. These are things that you can really focus on to make sure that you're taking advantage of the modern day era. And speaking of your website, speaking of online booking, are you partnering with software that allows the ease of online booking? Obviously, just like product lines, there is a multitude of softwares to select from. I just went through a software conversion myself last year, and we highly recommend making sure that you're connecting with the right software company. And one of the things that we know is a bit controversial at times, online booking, I've felt kind of iffy about it at times, but the reality is it's easy for clients to book, and their ease of booking and the ease of them being able to do that, and maybe doing that easier than they could at a different salon or a different business in general, it makes your brand that much more appealing. So you have to offer comprehensive online booking. There needs to be details and explanations and a very clear way of how to do it. We have a branded app that clients can actually download, the D'Anthony Studio app, and that's through our software company. They can book online that way through our app. They can book on our website. They can book on their phone. They can book while they're at the salon. We make sure that we're opening up the options. So think about what you're doing and how you're doing it to run a very modern day business. And finally, Google reviews. You have to encourage outstanding Google reviews. You don't want to encourage them in a negative way where you're saying, okay, give us a review and we're going to give you a discount. Honestly, we've never done that. What we do is we make sure that we hooked up with, this is actually a big part of our software, where it actually engages the client to do a review. So a year ago, we're a busy salon, and we had under like 20 reviews on Google. Now we have over 120 in a matter of 12 months. I get them emailed to me as they come, and I just saw 2 of them came in today. So the clients are prompted by the software via text to offer a very easy, again, easy. We're in what I call a microwave society, right? Everybody wants it instant now. So if you ask them to go home and click a link and then open up a browser, and they're not going to do it. But if it's within maybe a certain amount of time that they're leaving the salon at the height of their emotion, now again, hopefully that emotion is very happy to talk about your salon, but in reality, negative reviews help us as well. They show us how to handle it, how to respond to it publicly so that we can make sure we correct it, and also how to learn from it. So I hope that you took a lot of notes with this and got a lot of insight on how to increase service sales. Jill's now going to take us through how to start to increase your retail sales.
Right. Thank you, Derek, for that. That was awesome. And, when we talk about, service sales, increasing retail sales while decreasing expenses to create more profit, we're actually taking a multi-dimensional look at that. And oftentimes when we go in and we start to work with a new client, they're not really looking at anything but service. And so it's really fun to get into this next topic, which is looking at retail and how do we make retail sales soar higher than what they currently are. And the bottom line, team, is that retail is your profit center. So when you walk into your salon and spas, I want you to look at your retail center and I want you to say, good morning, profit center, and think about it as a huge profit center. And one of the things that we need to be aware of is we need to be aware of analyzing the numbers. The numbers tell us the story. They tell us the story without the emotion. They tell us what's working and what's not working. So taking a look at the retail lines that you currently have, what are your highest SKUs? What are your lowest moving SKUs? Do you need to make adjustments? And if you need to make an adjustment, that's great, make the adjustment. But to always be aware of what is happening in and around, one of the things that I used to love to do is I used to love to look at my numbers. And when we were kind of flatlining on retail, we weren't seeing the growth that we wanted to. I would always go to my team and ask them if they have thought about any retail lines that they might be interested in bringing in. So I had a salon coordinator who, several years ago had a big beard just right when the beard phase was coming in. And he really talked to me a lot about bringing in a line specifically for bearded men. And I really was hesitant on doing it. And finally he broke me and I said, okay, that's fine, we'll get it in. But the results and the profitability are going to be on you. And so we need to make sure that this is a profit center, that it continues to be a profit center. And the line actually did amazing. And it was so fun to see these big guys coming out with their big beards. And we knew automatically they were coming into the salon to purchase their beard oil or their beard shampoo, whatever it was. And so always be open to bringing a different line in that's going to fit the demographics and the culture of your business. It's huge. It's really, really important. Another thing that we find to be very important is building relationships with your distributor and your sales team. So, some salon owners, some spa owners kind of look at that as, oh, a dreaded meeting. I have to have a dreaded meeting. I want you to have a paradigm shift. I want you to embrace these meetings because you know what? They're partners with us. They want us to succeed. They want you to do well. So you know what? Have meetings with them every other week or at the very least once a month. Meet with their manager. Become a person. Become a name for them that's common, not just an account number. Build a relationship, let them know what you're up to, and hopefully you're up to some really big things. You need to sit down and let them know. One of the goals is to create more profit. We know that the retail center is a profit center, so let's sit down and let's develop some strategies together and build this relationship so that we become a team, because the bottom line is if it's good for you, it's good for the distributorship. If it's good for the distributorship, it's really great for the salesperson as well. So really take a look at what do you need to do and be committed to building that relationship moving forward. Take a look at what we can do to incentivize our guests to purchase more products from us. So right here, we just have an example of receive a free gift with every $50 gift card purchase. You can certainly use that. You can do so many creative things. I always encourage our clients to look at what would be possible if you had developed a promotion where they purchased 3 or more products. So purchase 3 or more products for the opportunity to win up to 20% off. See, you gamify it. It's really important when people are having fun, when they're excited, it usually means that they're going to spend more money with you, which will result in a greater profit. So maybe you're going to do, gosh, October is coming up, Halloween is coming up, and maybe you're going to go to the little dollar store and get little pumpkins, and on the bottom of the pumpkins, you're going to put a little dot and it's going to be a different color. So maybe you have 10 pumpkins and one of those pumpkins on the bottom is going to have a black dot. That's going to represent 20% off. And maybe 2 of those pumpkins are going to have a blue dot on the bottom. That would represent 15% off. Then maybe you're going to have a couple that have a green dot. That might represent 10%. And then the rest might be a red dot. That would represent 5%. So in order to play the game, they need to purchase 3 or more products. And then they get to pick a pumpkin to win up to 20% off. Our guests love that. They love that. It's exciting. It generates enthusiasm and it generates higher profits and more increase in retail sales, which is a great thing. And if you're going to incentivize your guests, why not look at incentivizing your team as well? Motivate your team. Maybe you're going to, for the month of November, I'll just make this up right now. Maybe you're going to have a bingo card. Everyone's going to get a bingo card, and on the bingo board, the bingo card, Each square is going to represent different things. It might be different items to retail. It could be a hot tool. It could be a pack. It could be anything. And the first person to get a blackout on the bingo card is the winner, and they win something. And going back to the relationship with your vendors and your distributorships, where do you think you're going to get the prize for your team? You got it. You're going to get it from your distributorships, from your salespeople. You're going to go to them, you're going to ask them, let them know we're doing a really fun bingo card, and we're going to go on a blackout, and we're going to have a winner, and I'd love to be able to give them something. Would you be able to participate? Could you sponsor this contest for us? And gosh, I don't know any distributorship or any salesperson that ever turned me down in the 15 years that I was a salon and spa owner. So they want to help you, and they have those gifts available. We just have to get better at asking. So really think about incentivizing your team, get them going, get them motivated. This is a good one. Create an online purchasing platform. Derek spoke a little bit earlier about online presence in many different aspects. You know what? Most softwares now have the capability to help you put a retail store online on your website, however you want to do it. And you just don't want to leave anything on the table. So if they're not buying it when they're in person, give them the opportunity to purchase it from you over the internet. What a great idea. And then give them options. Maybe they're going to purchase it, and maybe there's an option to do curbside pickup. That would be fantastic, right? Maybe there's an option to purchase it and pick it up with their next appointment, the following week. Or the other option, obviously, is to just mail it out to them. But you want to be in present time, and the reality is, if you don't have a retail center online, you need to get with the program. You need to upgrade, and you need to have that, create that for you. Another thing that you can do with retail is really look at the branding. When you walk in and you see the retail, does it talk about your brand? Does it match your identity? Does it match your culture? Do you have a private label line? I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you've checked into it, maybe you haven't. But really take a look at it and say, does this say to potential consumers, potential buyers, this is our brand, this is our culture? And really start to focus on that. Eric and I work with clients all the time. And as he said, the name of our company is Curators. So we're focused very heavily on the culture of a business, on the overall branding of the business. So make sure it has a lot of great curb appeal, in that it speaks without anything. And part of that branding is all of your point of purchase displays. Do they have your brand on them? Do they say, look at me? So, your point of purchase displays with your promotions, with what you're doing. If you're doing the pumpkin patch pickup, whatever you want to call it, I'm just making that up right now. So, is it consistent throughout the salon, and are you advertising that throughout the salon? Your brand should carry out not only in your retail area, but if you're having a retail promotion, it should absolutely be in your retail area, at your front desk, at your stations, at your color bar, at your shampoo area, in the bathrooms. You should have that overall consistent branding all the time. You know what? Think outside the box. Think outside the box, and what could you carry? What do you purchase that you currently don't have in your salons? I love being able to think outside the box. And so I have a friend who has a salon in Tampa, Florida. And you walk into her place of business, and everything, and I mean everything you see, is for sale. So you like the picture on the wall? Guess what? You can buy it. You hear a great tune going above with the speakers? you can buy that CD. So think outside the box. What is it that you have around that you actually could be retailing? Think about what consumers are buying right now. Maybe you're going to get some really cool masks in. Maybe you're going to brand your mask with your business, and maybe you're going to retail those. Maybe it's going to be candles. Maybe it's going to be scarves for winter. Have a great time, but think about and consider bringing in things that aren't necessarily hair related or skin related, but are fashionable in that you could retail. They're great gift ideas and great last minute impulse purchases that you need to start taking advantage of. Also, we want to look at education and how are you educating your team? Because we know if the team is highly educated, they're in turn going to start to educate their guest. An educated guest tends to purchase more. If we explain to a guest what we're using and why we're using it, what's in it for them, they're going to have a tendency to want to purchase it. So let's take a look at what it is that we can do to create consistent, high-level, high-end education. And when you think about product knowledge, I know for myself, I'm like, oh, geez, another product knowledge class. But it's our job to make it fun and exciting. So maybe you're going to take mannequin heads with your team, and you're going to split the team up, and each mannequin head has 2 team members in it. Then they're going to split it into 4 quadrants. They're going to grab 4 different products that they don't typically use with their guests, because we know we all have our favorite products, our favorite go-tos that we always go to for our guests. So get outside the box again, grab products that you're not used to using, and create a different look on the different quadrants, and really get in there and then educate each other on what you did and what the results were. So there are so many ways to make it fun, and in doing so, you're going to absolutely bring your retail to the next level. So those are just a few ways that you can really start looking at retail as your profit center, and to move forward and really build momentum going into this holiday season. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the last thing, decreasing expenditures. And that's one of my favorite topics. So Derek, I'm going to have you go ahead and get started with that, please.
Okay, so we've talked about how to increase service sales. We've also now, Jill just covered retail sales. Let's get to decreasing expenses, because a great way to actually add money to your bottom line is by stopping some of the bleeding that's happening in your salon when it comes to money running out the door, in many different ways. So let's get rolling. So one of the first things that's really important is to know your numbers, right? As I mentioned earlier, what gets measured grows, right? So if we don't know where we're starting, how do we know where we want to go? You know, when, for instance, if a GPS is trying to take you somewhere, if it can't find your location, it can't tell you how to get there, right? So you have to know, track, and analyze your numbers. You must receive a monthly P&L and analyze that. And that's something that can really help you understand what's coming and what's going, and how to start to trim some of that fat, right? How to make sure that some of those expenses are on their way down. Another way to seriously decrease expenses is to analyze your monthly bills. Find areas to cut down on costs. You can actually use this free website called vertex42.com. I actually didn't know about it. This is something that Jill informed me and many of our clients about. It's a really great resource. And when you think about it, when's the last time that you connected with your merchants and asked them to reduce their fees, especially credit cards, right? When you look at your credit card fees, have you looked at, okay, what exactly did we spend in credit card fees in 2019? And are you looking to move that down? We know that the credit card industry is a very weird, it's kind of a weird industry. And it's very hard to read the statements. They actually design it that way. So you want to get clarity. Do you have a contact person within that organization that you're working with? Do you have a relationship with that person so that you can start to have these kind of conversations, as opposed to being a invoice number, right? I never want to be an invoice number. I would never want to be an account number. I always want to be a name with a face and a brand. And don't take tips on credit cards. That's a really huge way to see money just run out the door. So what we've done is we've helped clients design to take this kind of model that typically costs us money as a salon and completely flip it on its head. So for instance, I own an ATM. That ATM lives in my salon. It's our ATM. We fill it with our own cash, right? And clients can then use that ATM and we charge them a fee to use the ATM. So every time that a client goes to tip our team, it costs them $2 to use the ATM. Now, they have the choice to use the ATM. Obviously, they can come prepared with cash if they choose to tip in cash with their own, but we make it a convenience factor and they're happy to pay a quick couple bucks for the convenience factor, just like many of us have when we need an ATM at the moment. Another way to think about doing this, and we started doing this last year, is we actually charge a credit card fee as opposed to absorbing it. So it costs a client 3% to use their credit card at my salon. We started doing that last year. You need to check with your state and make sure that that's legal. It is now in New York, and many states around the country are now legalizing it and making sure that it's okay to do. I can't tell you guys, we've saved probably $20,000 just in that one movement. And my ATM is one of my absolute favorite employees. It never has an attitude, never comes late. I don't need it to sell retail. It just lives there and it's a moneymaker. So think about those simple ways to really increase your bottom line by 5 figures or more. Now we're on a call with Vish. Vish is an amazing, amazing tool to align yourself with. And think about this, it's not just Vish, but Vish is probably to me, the best example of aligning yourself with companies that provide tools and resources that support and increase your bottom line. So whether it's helping you save or whether it's helping you add to the bottom line, both of those things are increasing your bottom line, and so important to align yourself with those kind of companies. And some of those companies work with each other, right? Because they've aligned themselves with great companies that can support each other. So this is, again, a really important aspect of when you own a business. I want to make sure, as I mentioned before, that I'm a name, that I'm not just a number or an account number, and that I'm making sure that I'm building relationships so that I can grow those relationships to in turn end up growing my bottom line. Another really simple option when possible is to buy in bulk. Of course, you want to buy things that don't expire and things like that, but can you buy hair color in bulk? Can you buy paper goods like paper towels, PPE, all the kinds of stuff that we need to be doing? When you buy in bulk, you're going to get a better rate, generally speaking. You want to work with vendors that supply it in bulk, and they will give you a discounted rate, and they will also typically provide some level of net 30, 60, or 90, meaning you don't have to pay up front. You can pay 90 days from now, or you can spread that across the next 90 days. So as opposed to making one huge payment, you can split that up. Maybe they'll net beyond 90. It just all depends on the relationship that you build. And the worst answer that you could get is, no, we can only do net 30 if you ask for a 90. Okay, great. So you can settle for that if that's okay. And you want to make sure that you are really seriously focusing on these things. It sounds simple, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on these things so that you can seriously grow the bottom line. The next thing that I want to share with you guys is your rewards program. So think about this. Now, I mentioned before that we had a contest, right, where we had an all expense paid trip all the way to Vienna for 4 nights, including their airfare, their hotel. It included breakfast every single day. It included all the parties with food, an open bar. All they had to do was buy a dinner here or there. And we treated them to that a couple of times anyway, because again, it wasn't costing us anything. So you want to make sure, A, that you're aligning yourself again with a company that has a great rewards program. Many do, some don't. Many do, and some are better than others. So are you researching that part of it when you're thinking about bringing in that new retail line, when you're thinking about what color line you're using? You want to use that for back bar, possibly team education, or team incentives. This could be at little to no cost to you. So that example that I mentioned, my rep and we arranged a deal where she was like, okay, if you use your points for yourself and your wife, we can pay for 2 of your team members all expenses. So it would cost you nothing for the 4 of you to go. Does that sound like it's a good offer to you? Well, what do you guys think I said? Of course, that sounds like a great offer to me. And what an amazing incentive. Now, of course, we can't do it this year, unfortunately. We were really excited about doing it this year because it was going to be in Amsterdam. But COVID-19 had other plans. So we can continue to think about those kind of things to build incredible momentum, inspiration, and also add to your bottom line. So Jill's going to take us through a few more. Go ahead, Jill.
All right, thank you, Derek. So yeah, one of the things that I want to talk about is really budgeting, and I know that we spoke about it before a little bit, but when you're looking at your budget, you have to have a budget. First of all, I'll ask you, do you have a budget for your supplies? And that would mean all of your back bar supplies, everything it takes to run the business. And do you have a budget for your retail, or are you just winging it and going at it with whatever? We need some of that, or that's on sale, so I'll take it. Now, you really want to stick to a budget. That's one of the things that Derek and I work with our clients on, is really establishing in teaching our clients the formula for a back bar budget, and then adhering to it, as well as a retail budget. And not only having the budget, but adhering to it and counting. So I want all of you to do a inventory count every single month. It's very important to do this inventory count. So you're going to start to track everything that's happening in your business. And imagine you have this great spreadsheet. We have a great spreadsheet that we work with our clients, and you can start to see the picture. You can start to see the full and complete picture about what's happening with your inventory. You could look for ways to reduce those expenses. What's not moving? What have you been sitting on? And what is it that you need more of? So physically counting, making those adjustments, and really looking at the big picture. Sometimes we need to get outside of our business, get outside of the chair or the treatment room, and start really focusing on what it's looking like with the numbers. Very, very important. How many of you would like to be debt-free, right? I think we all would like to be debt-free. And if you didn't have, your thought of, oh my gosh, yes, well, I'm going to question that. So team, some of you have credit cards. Some of you have a lot of credit card debt. Go use that vertex42.com and see what that large credit card balance is costing you every single day. And when you think, oh my gosh, I want more profit, or you're complaining about not even having a profit, I want you to think about what you're paying in interest on those credit cards, and start to use cash. Start to use COD, do COD. And if you think, oh my gosh, I could never do that, yes, you can. We help people do that all the time. You need to stay within your budget. You need to stay within the guidelines that you've set forth. Be accountable to using cash. And if you can't afford it, if you don't have the cash in hand, then maybe you have to wait to purchase it. Yes? I think so. So, let's take a look at a business line of credit. I'll never forget, years ago, back in 2007, my first business coach said, do you have a line of credit? And I said, absolutely not. I don't need a line of credit. And she said, that's exactly the time to get a line of credit. So if you don't have a line of credit, I want you to write down, and I want you to task yourself to check into getting a line of credit. And the great thing about that is now you can take that large credit card debt that you have that you're maybe paying 25% interest on, you could potentially roll it into your line of credit, which has a much less percentage of interest to pay off. Now you're starting to save money. Now you're starting to make your money work a little smarter for you and not so hard, right? Set auto pay on your bills. Avoid late fees and interest. You know what, team? Even if you're like, you've got 50 bills to pay every single month, and maybe only one is late, maybe just one slips through the cracks, you know what? It adds up. One every single month at the end of the year, that's money that could have gone directly to the bottom line, called profit. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like to give my money away to those people. So let's stop giving it away. And again, apply for that line of credit if you haven't. So let's look at one other way that we can do it. start to eliminate subscription use. As Derek talked about earlier, you know, we can't touch anything right now in the salons, so we obviously don't have magazines, but look at all of your subscriptions that you have, and do you need them, or are there areas that you can trim? You know, I was just out, I went back out on the road for the very first time last week since COVID. And the business owners and myself went to this restaurant, and when we sat down, there were no menus. There was just this little square that looked like a QR code sitting in the middle of the table. So we asked our waiter what that was all about, and they said, just, you know, hover over it, and you don't even need to take a picture of it. It will just catch it, and then automatically their menu pops up. Well, that's super cool, and they're using technology to their advantage. And so we talked to them, we talked to the owner of the business, and what we found out was that they have to print their menus now, and it's one and done. So you get the menu, you give it to someone, and then they have to throw it away. So they thought, you know, how can we eliminate this waste? How can we eliminate all of this printing that's going on every day? And they did it really, really technically savvy by putting this, what appeared to be a QR code, and then we just scan it. Business cards are like that as well. You know what? You can carry one business card around, and if you're at the gym working out and someone compliments you on your hair, you can say, oh my gosh, you know, get your phone. Everybody carries this with them, right? Everyone has their phone with them, and they just put their phone over the business card, and it pops right up to your website, or it can pop right up to your employee team page, whatever it is. So let's really think about what can we do to advertise inexpensively and start getting rid of those higher options that we've been using in the past, because you know what, there wasn't a pandemic and we could use them, but now this pandemic has created us to think more creatively and go through our salon literally with a fine-tooth comb and look for opportunities to improve what it is we were doing before. This is a great one. Internships. You know what? We talk to so many people, and they're like, you know what? I'm not a social media wizard. I don't have time to do it. I try to get my team to do it, and you know, I give them a little skip, but then they fall off the wagon. And I was talking to one of my friends in Tennessee a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about that, and he said, you know what, Jill, I've hired an intern. And what I did was I just called the local community college, found out they did have internship programs, told them what I was looking for. They talked to the professors, who in turn talked to the students, and then these students applied for this internship with him to do his social media. That was a genius move, because you know what? It didn't cost him nearly as much as if he would have gone out and hired someone with 20 years experience and, you know, has their own company, all that kind of stuff. These kids were hungry to learn. They were hungry to put their new skill set to use. And so look to see, is there an intern that we could hire that could potentially help us and do a better job than what we're doing? And if so, gosh, go for it, do it. Take a look. Again, take a look at the numbers. I know that we're creative people. I'm a hairdresser by trade, so we're all creative people, but you know what? Get numbers to become really sexy and really creative. Look at those numbers, because they tell us what we need to know in order to make more profitable business decisions. So take a look at your hourly team, and are there areas that you can, you know, potentially reduce, or do you have to expand? Maybe it's just an adjustment of hours, but really take a look at that and see where it is that you can absolutely get the biggest ROI, the biggest return on your investment, called salary with them. So team, those are just some really quick, rapid fire ways that you can start to look at reducing expenses in your business. And you know, the last thing I want to say is, profit is not something to add on at the end. I'm going to say that again because that's so important. Profit is not something to add on at the end. It's something to plan for in the beginning. So, you know, on our onboarding calls with our new coaching clients, oftentimes we'll talk about their goals. What do they want to achieve in the next year? And we hear things like, I want to become $1 million business. I want to be a $5 million business, whatever it is. But here's the thing that we ask next. That's great. How much profit do you want to have at the end of that $1 million or at the end of that $5 million gross sales that you brought in? And let's start thinking about profit first. Let's start planning and strategizing in the beginning to determine what that profit is going to be. And let's make every decision moving forward all about what's best for our guest, what's best for our team, and what's going to elicit the profit that we want. So, gosh, it's been a pleasure to share some rapid fire quick. I hope your pen had smoke coming off of it. You were taking so much notes. So thank you so much for allowing us to have the opportunity to share just a little bit with each and every one of you. Derek, is there anything you want to say?
Yes, it's so interesting. I remember when I was a younger salon owner, I've only owned my salon 9 years, but I remember that first part of that first year, my goal and dream was to have $1 million business or $1 million salon. And as Jill said, slowly, or well, relatively quickly, I realized, I want to have a profitable $1 million salon, because there are many $1 million salons that maybe brought in $1 million in business, but then maybe have $1.1 million in expenses that same year. You're still $100K in the hole at that point. So as I started to really focus on building a profitable business each year, and as the business continued to grow, we were able to reach that goal of being a profitable $1 million business. And that's how you plan for profit. It starts now. And if you're far along in your journey because you've owned 20 years, or if you've just started as an owner, it doesn't make a difference where you are. Where you're going is what matters. But if you decide to commit to action, well, that's what is going to get you to the next step. And we want to share with you a really special offer that we have for everybody on today's webinar. If you liked what this lesson was about, again, we kind of moved it slightly faster, at a faster rate, because we're on a time crunch, obviously, and we want to respect all of your guys' time. But if you like this, think about what we do with group coaching. And group coaching is all about specific modules like profit, like team building, like leading versus managing, things like that, that are really relevant, that we polled a bunch of salon owners to find out what are the needs, what are the desires that you're looking for, what do you need to learn. What we normally do is that group coaching program is $19.97 for the 3 months. It's 6 calls. It's 1 call every other week. And there are actual, what we call actions to success in between each call. So there's a final slide after each call that will give you actual tangible and actionable things to do between the calls. And we created a private Slack workspace for all of our coaching, all of our group coaching clients. So this way, everybody can engage, interact, share ideas, and really be a part of it. So for everyone on this call, we consider you VIP, and you're going to get it for just $5.97. Which is obviously a massive discount. So we wanted to offer you something that can inspire you to action and can help you understand that action is the component that's needed. Great ideas are one thing. Tim and I have discussed this before. Great ideas are one thing. Execution is a whole nother level. So this offer will be valid for the next 24 hours. If you'd like to take advantage, please write our email down. That's info@myculturecurators.com. You can also check out our website. We encourage you to check out myculturecurators.com to see what else we do and what else we offer. But our group coaching program is one of our core things that we do on a very regular basis. So we want to thank you again so much for your time. Thank you to Vish for having us on. And we're going to send it back to Sabrina so that we can do a little bit of Q&A if you guys have any questions.
Thank you guys so much. That was so informative. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section. We'll wait a couple minutes to see the questions coming in.
Everybody was so busy writing notes, they don't even have time for a question.
Yeah. I was about to say that. That's so funny.
Oh, looks like we have one. I
So
think
Danny asks, will this webinar be able to access later? Yes, I'll be sending the link out to everybody who attended, who missed the webinar. So don't worry about that. You guys can absolutely watch it later.
yeah, I gotta talk. I'm from New York too, so I talk kind of fast. So you might need to rewind and put it in slow-mo so you can understand what I was saying.
So somebody asked, what should salons be profiting percentage-wise?
You know what? I'll say what I think, and then Jill, please share what you think. I think that's really the owner's decision. What do you want to profit? And again, that's how you there's not, this is the misconception in our opinions, right? There's not a one size fits all for our industry. There are certain things that we know help create profit and that we know help hurt profit. So do you know what the average salon is profitable? Well, if they're profitable, they're maybe profitable up to about 3%. And I think that's a really sad statistic. We aim for between 10% and above in profit. That's our typical benchmark. If you're running a 10% profit in the hair salon, you're doing really well, to be honest. And I know that that's even a little bit disappointing, to be honest, but we want to make sure that if your goal is a 20% profitable salon, well, let's design a specific plan to help you get there. You need to make sure that you're separating your retail and your services separately, and you're understanding that you're basically running two businesses under one roof. And we need to make sure that we're building profitability in all centers of the salon. What do you think, Jill?
I agree with everything that you said. You know, we take a look at where our clients start at, their starting point, and it's about taking your business to the next level. So if you're at a 3% profit, or if you're not even profiting, you know, the first step is to break even. Then the next goal is to get to 3%, then 5%, then 10%, and to move up from there. We take a look at businesses in separate categories. You have your service business and you have your retail business. It's apparent that retail, the profitability or the profit is so much higher than actual services. So the goal is to get services profitable and continue to increase the retail profitability.
And to be honest, from my salon in particular, Vish has really helped dramatically in helping create profit on the service side. Profit from services get eaten up so easily between commissions, especially if you're over commissioning, between waste in color or any kind of products. And like I was saying before, kind of the bleeding of the business. I mean, what more bleeds us than when you see a full bowl of color get dumped down the drain after an application, right? So that's why we strongly believe in Vish. And for me, I just started as a Vish client, and I believed in it so much that we ended up being on a webinar here because I only work and focus on things that I really truly believe in. And Jill and I, Jill's been a coach a lot longer than me, and Jill's been recommending it for so long because of how much she's seen it dramatically change people's bottom lines. It's really, really incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have another question from Elise. She says, thank you. She took a lot of notes. And she just wants to clarify that the cost is $597 for Culture Curators.
Yeah, it's $597. Normally, that group coaching program would be $1997. So this is a massive discount. But yes, you're correct. It's just $597. It's a one-time payment. All you need to do is send us an email, and then we'll give you next steps. Very simple.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions for today. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody who attended. Thank you, Jill and Derek. It was so informative.
Thank you, everybody.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.